Yeah, you have new equipment.
No, but I started using the tripod and all that, because it's kind of hard to get everybody in the same shot, so I have a second camera, but I can't find a cord.
Look at that.
I love your shoes, by the way.
In my next life, I won't have MS and I will have stilettos.
I need a shoe closet.
One of the things. I can see my rudder. There's no rudder. Brown. To the center.
Keep track of what's going on here.
Good morning, it's 9:30. Welcome to our regularly scheduled monthly business meeting for the Transit District. Call this meeting to order, and I would also like to welcome Mr. Lance Norton to our board. He is the Amalgamated Transit Union representative. And he will participate on the board. He is not a voting member of the board, and he will have limited access to executive sessions, things that involve employment issues like that, and he understands that, but we appreciate that and we will represent the employees who are members of that union. We'll start this meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Johnson would lead us in the pledge this time. I appreciate it.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if the director would introduce any guests or identify any guests we may have here.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to introduce Tom Shaughnessy from ICOM, Director of ICOM, and will be providing a brief presentation to the board as one of the agenda items.
Thank you very much and welcome, Mr. Shaughnessy. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Are there any adjustments, modifications, deletions?
I move approval of the April 24th, 2015 agenda.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve the April 24th agenda. Any further discussion about that? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Sign. It is approved unanimously. Next item is the approval of the minutes for March 27. It's our regular business meeting. I'll entertain a motion for that. We have a motion to approve the minutes of March 27. Do we have a second?
I second.
And we have a second for Mr. Sundberg. Any further discussion? No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say no. There are no no's, so that unanimously. Next item is the approval of the summary and minutes of the April 13th, 2015 board workshop. I'll entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
We have a motion to approve that. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Ms. Henderson was first, so we'll take her for the record. Any further discussion?
Yes. The minutes, while accurate, they don't mention here for item number 6 where I moved to table business item number 2. Makes no mention that my request to the director to explore or come up with an RFP for what's going to cost us to put it, initiate a fair system.
Give me a page number.
The last page, I don't know, just before we adjourn. Page 404.
And how would you like that corrected again for your record?
Well, there's just no mention that it's corrected, that what is in there is correct, it's just there's no mention of after which we had discussion about looking into what it's going to cost us for fares and coming up with an RFP to initiate a fare system for the buses, and we also mentioned something about paratransit, looking into paratransit funding and stuff in the future uses. But the main thing was my request for coming up with an RFP for fares.
Does anybody have any recollection about that conversation? Okay.
I mean, I remember.
Then it should be entered into the record, and Meg, do you have that reference to the RFPs for the fares?
I'll add it.
All right. Then there'll be amendment to this item, and
Does it include looking at the cost of collecting fares?
Yes, in fact, a request for proposals to see what's going to initiate fares or to put fares on there. And
So a cost-benefit analysis?
yes,
that's a good way of putting it.
A cost-benefit analysis of fares.
All right, so there is a, you're going to make a motion to amend this thing?
yes, I'll move to amend it.
Is there a second to amend the April 13th, item number 6?
Second.
We have a second, Ms. Johnson. Any further discussion? No further discussion. All those in favor say aye to amend item number 6.
Aye.
Those opposed, carries unanimously. So item number 6 of the minutes for April 13th stands corrected. At this time, yes. Excuse me. Now I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as corrected. We have a motion by Ms. Henderson and a second
Second.
by Mr. Hanold to approve the minutes as amended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Carries. Let's move on to the next one. Approval of the master voucher list. I think we'll have discussion first before we have a motion. So at this time, we'll kind of combine this financial report and this voucher issue in the same conversation, because they are going to overlap. I have some questions on that too. So we will take a look at that voucher list right now for any comments. I'll start with Ms. Jensen. Okay. So I just recommended that we start with you since you have more questions.
Well, yeah, I do have some questions. I look at the, and it says it's appropriate since Mr. Chauncey is here today. I look at the master voucher list and I come up with $5,075.66, all for communications charges. We have interop communications and communication. Various charges ranging anywhere from $6.50 to $1,341. And I was just wondering what all these communications charges are. It's on the monthly, and I'm asking for what that really got clarification.
Mr. Hanold, could you refer to a page number for the rest of us so that we can follow their comments?
They're sorted throughout. I have them all highlighted there for you if you want to see. They're in color coded. They're on all of them.
Okay.
Yes.
But they are, if you look at them by vendor, a lot of them go to Guardian Security. Some go to Comcast, some go to AT&T.
Some go to Frontier, some go to,
But we're going to different,
yeah, I want to put
different
all
categories like van pool, et cetera. They're
So,
allocated to different departments.
but what are they for? What are we buying with this money? Can anybody tell me? Are they cell phones, are they laptops, are they iPads?
It's our phone service, it's our internet service, it is our security service that is through a radio network. And these are broken out by department, so that's why it looks like a lot, but it's actually, if you look at the check number, it's how we allocate it to each department. So Comcast can be broken out by location. We have Comcast serving Harbor Station for our internet and here, so that's how it's broken out.
Okay. And it's used for, is this used to communicate with drivers, or is this used to?
No, this is our internet, our phone service, it's not the radio network buses.
The other one I had a couple more too. We have Health Promotion Northwest, and Health Force. What are those?
That is our drug and alcohol screening program, testing.
UA testing.
Yeah,
Okay, so, and we are utilizing that here?
yes.
Okay. The other question I have, memberships and dues. We got $5,513 for memberships and dues to U.S. Bank, Allen County Public Works, IT revolving card. What are we membershiping to?
I think some of that is software licensing, but Paul, you can answer that.
Yeah, we looked into that. The U.S. Bank is a credit card, and in order to renew a subscription, I think it was to the GM database, so that we can search their database for parts information. Or General Motors. In order to search that database, we have to pay a subscription. And the only way to renew is with a credit card. So it was just done that way. And it shows up under that category because that's just the overall category that it drops into the accounting system.
I think
The description is more descriptive on our manager's report, which we review as a finance committee each month.
almost all of our membership and dues is for software licensing. There's very small, they've cut memberships for staff, that is organizational memberships, down to 1 or 2 that are obligatory, I believe. And it includes software maintenance and what are called subscriptions for information databases that are used in the maintenance. Maybe maybe we can, is it possible to change that category title so it doesn't confuse us
We should definitely do that.
on the reporting system? Because this question has come up twice.
Yeah, I know, it's confusing the way it's written out,
Yeah,
because
it is confusing.
when I see says communications, I'm thinking people talking to each other.
Yeah, yeah.
And if it's, because it averages that much monthly, and it just seems like that's an awful lot to be paying for, even if we're paying subscriptions to things. The other question I have is for transit park utilities. What utilities? About $865 for utilities for transit parks?
That was, sometimes it's internet for the cameras, transit parks, some we have water utilities, that type of thing. Power station, railway
Drinking
station.
one, okay.
And you have septic there because you had restrooms.
And then the last thing I've got, it deals, and this isn't the voucher list, but I'll just be, as we're going through money here, I'm going to throw it in here. The payroll report shows the payroll for the month was $559,759. But then when you go to the cash flow statement, it shows that the payroll was $600,022. That's a difference of $40,300. Where does that come from?
Well, those two reports, one is a cash basis report, the other is an accrual report. So there's a natural difference in timing of payments between those two reports. And I think you can also see that the total cash outflows or uses is 832 versus the outflows on the budget action report, which is the accrual report, was 793. So there's a natural difference between those two reports. And it's due to the timing of when payments are made versus when the same expense is earned or posted to the accounting system. So without doing a detailed reconciliation, that's the best answer.
I think that's something that really occurs on the way this cash flow summary is reported here for $832,213, and you go back to the summary, same thing that Rick was referring to, at $739,410,000. There's $38,800. So there is that timing imbalance. One cash, one is accrued, and that's the only way I could personally reconcile it. And I was going to ask you the same question since he.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Any other questions?
Well,
Are you satisfied with the answers?
well, yeah, I guess that it was just a timing issue. But yeah, my question is then when did these all balance out? Did we do that?
I'm not sure you're ever going to get a really good feeling for the balancing because there are always going to be timing differences. Every month there's a timing difference. We get revenues after we realize them. We pay expenses after we realize them. So there's always going to be timing differences. I guess the balancing process would be we look at our actuals versus our budget at the end of the year. And with our final audit report, we make adjustments so that we take into account those timing differences. So, and that's what the auditors are looking at the end of the year.
I would just add that the cash summary report, I think we even anticipated when we added that to our financial reporting, that the cash summary report, it was requested very strongly by our clients, our voters, to know what our cash situation is. But the cash situation is never exactly the same as projected budget. They have, that's why they wanted the cash summary report, because they were worried that the cash flow was going too low. And so the fact that the cash flow actually in this case happens to show higher expenses by 40,000 just means that we've, in a sense, prepaid things that were budgeted, things that were not quite due. And so the cash flow tells us that we've got $1 million in the bank, but that doesn't mean that at the end of the year, we'll have a budget surplus of exactly $1 million. It depends on the reconciliation that Paul says that comes with the budget and finally audit at the end of the year. So the cash flow in this case is better than the what do you call it, accrued expenses. I mean, the accrued expenses are lower right now by 40,000, like you pointed out. Next month, maybe the accrued expenses will be a little higher. But they're going to be roughly in sync if they are done if they're done at exactly the same time, but you accrue expenses before you actually pay them. And you accrue and you get revenue before you actually spend it. So it depends whether the amount of revenue you're getting matches that accrual.
From a board standpoint, a concern we would have at some point, we should be concerned at some point if you start seeing a bunch of accruals that are significantly higher than your cash flow. So if it looks like we're booking expenses and not paying expenses, that's a moment where watching the differences between those two should be a red flag for us, correct? No? Paul's saying no with that face.
I'm not sure if I really understand the question.
If we're looking at this and we're seeing more expenses booked on the accrual report, then we're seeing paid out on the expense report, and our cash flow balance is significantly lower than what we're seeing our accrual expenses be. That's telling us that we're booking more expenses than we're able to pay out.
Well, it would also tell me that you're booking more expenses than you are paying out, and you might be accruing a liability, or if your cash balance is also decreasing, that would tell me that there's money's being moved somewhere else, and that would be a significant problem.
Right. But that's the indicator of a problem. That's the thing that we're watching between accrual and cash flow, is not just looking at accrual, but saying, what are we really dealing with? That's the moment that we would say, oh, that we got to be more careful about that.
I think I'd also add that your accrual system is kind of looking at the moment in time, whereas your cash statement is kind of lagging a little bit, because the minute we get an invoice and write a check, it could be sent, it's entered into our accounting system, so we know what we paid and what we have remaining in our fund balance. Whereas that check could be floating and not cashed for a month. And so our cash balance could be higher, but we still have to know what it is we have already spent, so we don't spend again, even though our cash balance is higher than our accrual balance. So that's, I think, kind of why we watch both. We reconcile, I also add, we reconcile our cash at the end of each month. Our director reviews that, and we do a reconciliation against the treasurer's report, so that we know that we're, exactly how much money we have in the bank. So that gives us some extra level of assurance, as knowing our accounting system ties to the treasurer's accounting system.
And then one last question, we've got currently where it's right just shy of 70,000 a month that we're paying to Rebellion Bank on our note. That's supposed to be paid off June 30th.
I think that we have two notes for totaling that amount, and one of them I think is, correct me if I'm wrong, one is ending, the last payment is July, and I think we do have one early August. So, yeah, the timing on those is slightly off.
One of them ends, I think, in the middle of June.
Or is it June, July? Yeah.
And the other one ends in the middle of July, and that between the two of them, that will end the 70,000 repayment.
Okay, and is that going to, how's the way to phrase it? that money that won't be outgoing, but that'll just be offset by the money we don't have coming in any longer for 411.
The amounts are almost the same. I think, yeah, that's true.
So I guess a better way to put it, we're not going to realize.
That is your money.
Right, we already put that into accounting.
Okay.
I have a question on that same item, is can you explain the payroll variance between the 15th and the 31st? There's a big split between those two values.
Yeah, the first half of the month, we're just paying paychecks. In the third month, we pay quarterly payroll taxes. So that's an additional, I think it's like $50,000–$60,000. And we're also paying other liabilities once per month. So that's showing up in the second payroll run.
Okay. Well, that's quite a split though between.
Yeah, every month, but every third month it's even greater.
Would that be like medical, retirement, those are the things that are.
Those sorts of things. And then every third month we're paying quarterly taxes to the state.
Staff, answer your questions? Okay. Any questions?
I think the only one I had was one of the same ones he did, around the memberships and dues. I was confused about that.
Mr. Norton?
I'm curious, these bills or these vouchers are for the month of March, is that correct?
We do our voucher runs on the 12th of each month, approximately, unless it falls on a weekend. And so it's happening between the 12th and the 12th, so it kind of splits months a little bit.
That's what I was curious about. It says on the first page, master voucher list, from date 4/13 through 4/13, same year. I don't get that.
Well, the list is just generated, and it asks you to put in a date into the system, and it's not really an accurate portrayal of what this is. This is a 1 month's run of vouchers that were paid in March.
That were paid in March. So
Yes.
nothing here was paid in April, is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, one other question.
I could just expand on that. Because I've questioned these dates also in the past, and the real answer, or not the real answer, but the additional explanation is that you have to, the vouchers, you sweep any voucher that has happened in the past up to a date. So so the from date is very arbitrary. It's really from the beginning of the system until now. Hopefully you paid all the previous month's vouchers, so it's only the last month's vouchers. But to put a cutoff date there is arbitrary, and you don't want to miss something that came into the system 32 days ago and didn't get caught. So it's basically a 30-day sweep up to the 12th of the month. I hope that helps.
It doesn't really, but I don't want to prolong this. I would just think from the last day, these are the bills that came in for March, and we paid them. If anything came in on the 1st or 2nd of April, that would be listed on the April, but I won't belabor this anymore. The other question I had is, on page 3 or 4, the 8th item down, it's Hendricks Bennett, professional services. My question is that based on an hourly rate, or is that a retainer rate?
It's hourly, and that's actually 2 months too. That was a 2-month bill.
That's a 2-month billing on an hourly rate. What is the hourly rate?
Lower than all my other municipal clients, but I think it's.
Oh my God.
I think it's 200.
You think it's 200? Okay.
I can check, I can get that too.
Yeah, okay. And then if any board member requested an itemization for what that total was, that would be available for the board to see. Am I correct?
Available for anyone, public record.
Right, anyone. It's a matter of public record. And you would have that, or staff here would have that available. Is that correct?
Both of us went in.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Mr.
Thank you,
Norton.
Mr. Murray.
Commissioner Norton.
Sorry.
I just, after thinking about your question, this master voucher list does include some items in April. It's a check run in April, on April 13th. It also includes some items in March. So it's cutting both months. So I just wanted to be clear about that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Allen.
Who's up here? I am.
I have a question for legal also. Anybody wishing public records, fill out public records request identifying what they want. Do you care to comment on that with the general instructions?
These are amendments. Yeah.
And we have forms available here. Any further?
I was there on it.
There you go. Okay. Any further questions on the approval of the April master voucher list? I'll entertain a motion then to approve the master voucher list.
I move that we approve the April 2015 master voucher list.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay, there's a motion by Ms. Johnson, a second by Mr. Sundberg to approve the April 2015 master voucher list. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it passes unanimously. Now we're going to go to the public input. We have, I believe, we better ask Meg first if we have agendas out there for people. We follow an agenda system here, okay? For public input, we take 15 minutes to go through, give the public an opportunity to speak. It's 3 minutes per person for the sake of efficiency. If somebody says something that you agree with, I prefer that you say, I agree with so-and-so, so we move it along to somebody else, opportunity to speak to something that has not already been stated. You can speak to anything that is within the jurisdiction of the transit district. Items that are on our agenda, we'll have public comments during that agenda item, so please do not speak to agenda items while we're in the public comment period. So we'll have public comments until 10:15.
Mr. Chairman, members, I'm Bruce Freeman. Would it be a good understanding to say that by April you would know what all the financials were for the month of February and have those real numbers, revenue and expenses, versus you would also already have a closing number, what it cost you to operate for January by, say, March, because it gives you that lag time for everything to come in and go out, so you know what the month of January, what your revenues were and what your expenses were. February as well. It might take you about 30, 45 days afterwards, but I would think at this meeting here, March, or at least February, should have been balanced out, so you know what actually took place in February. You know what actually took place in January, except